The following is an email from Frankie, the first person to encounter Entity 303, that was supposed to go to Speed, the first person to ever speak about 303. Frankie's email has since been deleted. Date email sent, December 11th, 2013. Email, frankietheMiner2001@yahoo.com. Subject, Entity 303 information. Message. Hi Speed, my name is Frankie. I'm a huge fan of Minecraft and I've been playing for about 2 years. Every day after school, me and my friend John would always play on his private server. He's a bit of a noob at Minecraft, but since he was pretty rich, he decided to buy a private server, so we could play multiplayer survival along with friends, Vincent and Brady. One day we were all in a group Skype chat and we were working on a huge survival city that we were in the process of building for at least 8 months. We were really proud with how it turned out. It was located in a desert. We appropriately named our city Dry Bones. All of a sudden, while we all went to grab the supplies to finish the hotel we were working on, John noticed something in the chat. The only plugins we had on the server were Essentials, along with some plugin that Brady found called Social Spy. Thanks to Social Spy, it seems that someone named player.number303 used the command /stop. Now, John suffers from major anxiety. I've known him since preschool, and he's always been a really insecure person, so when he saw that so-called non-existent player, he tried to shut down the server. He immediately thought that it was a hacker. At first, I thought it was a bug or something that he was being paranoid about, but I reminded myself that this was a private server. I set up the plugins for him and such. I kept his server whitelisted since he didn't know how. There was no way anyone could join except us. I checked the server control panel and showed we were the only ones on the server. I was getting a bit confused and we all decided to just ignore it and continue playing. About 20 minutes in and I'm walking with Vincent to the nearest forest to grab wood, which wasn't very near at all. All of a sudden we see a white figure in the distance. It appeared to be a model of some sort of ghostly figure with what I could barely make out as red eyes. I quickly took a screenshot and ran after it. For some reason, Vincent's player just stood still. I assumed it was lag, but he's not even speaking on the Skype call. I checked Skype and he's still online, no answer, not even on the Skype call. By now, Brady is just ignoring us and concentrating on the hotel, and John is freaking out. I can hear the shakiness in his voice. Anyhow, I open up Minecraft again to see that the white figure has disappeared and Vincent disconnected from the server. I try calling him on my phone, but no answer. It goes straight to voicemail. Try texting him, but the texts don't deliver. John's getting worried to the point where it sounds like he's about to cry. Brady isn't even listening to us. He's not aware of the situation at all. I finally get his attention and he finally realizes how strange the problem is. He TPs to me and helps me search for the white figure. Now John's hysterically crying, thinking the hacker killed Vincent IRL or something. Suddenly my screen starts glitching. It's not normal for Minecraft to bug out like that. It looked like it was corrupted or something. If that's not bad enough, the chat starts spamming. Object successfully summoned by player number 303. I look at the Skype chat and realize that someone joined the call. It doesn't have a username and nor did we get any notification of someone being added. John's just watching this happen. His voice is shaking and I can hear him sniffling. Honestly, I was starting to get freaked out myself. Brady seemed to leave the call and disconnect from the server, probably out of boredom. I'm trying to calm John down, but he simply repeats, "I can't take this. This is too much for me." The anonymous Skype caller finally puts on face cam. It's too dark to see anything. John gets too overwhelmed and leaves the call on the server. I don't blame him. If he stayed any longer, he'd probably have a mental breakdown. It's just me and this anonymous player. I ask if anyone's there. I hear a faint voice saying something like, "Make a wish." It was faint, yet it sounded like a voice changer. I decided to switch on Minecraft to see if the player's there. The chat spams with "file overload" in red text along with "make a wish" in gray text. I suddenly get poisoned with the potion of blindness. I then lose my ability to move. I can't even turn off the computer or exit out of Minecraft. The player then runs up to me. It seems like he had a ghostly skin on with red eyes and a white parka. The chat then says one more thing. "Make a wish and say goodbye to your friends." Then the Skype call drops and somehow exits out by itself, and the player runs up to me and hits me. For some reason I make that oof that used to exist in beta and earlier. My computer then shuts off. I try to turn it on, but to no avail. I try using my phone, but the internet's down. I wait about 3 hours before turning on my computer. The desktop wallpaper changed to green coding, probably hex. I then realized that literally everything except the recycling bin was deleted from my PC. I turn off my computer and use my laptop. I try calling John, but he doesn't answer. Same goes with Brady and Vincent. I decide to go to bed. I go to school the next morning, and Brady is the only one to show up. He says that Vin and John's parents called his parents to ask if John or Vin are at his house. Apparently they went missing. There was no sign of them. The police came to their houses to check to see if there were any clues or what was left behind, but there were no results. I decided to ditch school and walk to John's house to see if he's there. I see his mother sitting on the steps crying. I ask if she's okay, and she says that John apparently committed suicide. Not in the house. Most likely snuck out to end his life. She handed me a piece of paper that she claimed to be left on John's computer table. I read the note carefully. I can't take this anymore. I can't sleep. I'm afraid he's watching me. I can't live like this, knowing that someone is after me, wanting me to die a slow, painful death. I'm sorry, Mom. I love you. I started to cry a bit when I read those last few words. I checked the back of the paper, and written on the corner in a very small text was the familiar phrase, "Make a wish." After about 20 minutes of comforting John's mother, I leave to go check on Vincent. His dad's car is in the driveway, but no one is home. Not even his dad. I sneak in the house, and what do I see in the bathroom? Written on the mirror in a red marker are the words, "Make a wish." That was when I realized that these weren't just coincidences. This was a serious issue. Not just some hacker, but someone who is mentally torturing his victims and causing them so-called disappearances. If you get this email speed, if you ever encounter 303 again, I want you to quickly close out of Minecraft and shut down the PC. I don't want you to end up like Vincent or John. Please be careful. If I get more information, I'll contact you immediately. Good luck. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Entity 303. I'm not going to read the second encounter. It's really bad. The long and the short of it, some kid playing Minecraft Xbox 360 edition gets fucked with by Entity 303, and it's just significantly worse than the first half. If I had to guess, the two halves were written by two different people, and that's why the quality changes so much. My only real complaint about the first half is how tech-savvy the kid is. Because this is a child who wrote this. At least in context of the story, Frankie the Miner is born in 2001. He's a year older than me. I would have been 11 at the time when this story was written. He was 12. Now, don't get me wrong, there are tech-savvy kids. There are kids who know how to code, who have an intricate knowledge of these things, but it's just incredibly strange to me how knowledgeable this kid is. I'll use myself as an example. As a kid, I'd say I was pretty tech-savvy. I knew how to host a couple of servers to play on games with my friends, but the most we'd really do is use LogMe and Hamachi. I'm sure that's a throwback to people who remember. I feel like most tech-savvy kids know enough to get the job done, and then they move on. They don't really understand what they're doing. They looked up a guide and tried to brute force it, and they just kept trying and trying to make it work, and eventually it worked. So anytime they want to do it again, they'll just do what worked. Maybe I'm just calling myself a dumbass, but I just think it's unrealistic that a 12-year-old in 2013 is going to know what hex looks like. For the time it was written, it was extremely good, and I personally think it was a better written story than Herobrine. But, it's lacking some key features, like, this is gonna sound stupid, but Herobrine has an aura about him. When I look at Entity 303, it's just some goober with an edgy skin, right? There's a reason the story didn't catch on when it first came out, but it's gotten its own cult fan base in the time since, and I feel like it deserves it. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like I've yapped enough. I'm gonna go record another story. You have a great day.